Good morning, everybody. I hope all of you are having a good day. Today we will be working on the exercises that follow the reading passage. And I think last time we did this one, so we won't be repeating it. You already have it. You can go over the recording if you want. We're going to do this one, which is vocabulary B. The B is not that clear, but I bet it's clear on your book. So, you must know the meanings of these words. These words we came across in the reading passage, and we discussed them, when we took the reading passage. But, it won't hurt to take a look at them once more and understand what they mean. So we said that pressure means like, um, it's taken from press, the word pressure, right? Here it's a noun, and it means like to put force. We kind of described uh, water as, pressuring the body, all right, of the diver, okay? Um, Now the next word is species, and species means kinds, right? So in the ocean you can find lots of different animal species, okay? So they're not from the same kind. Descent means to descend it's the past of descend, and it means like to go down. Rough, it could mean, it has different meanings, of course. Could mean not exact, could be that it's like hard or something of that kind. And then we have the word enclosed. We also took this word, and it means to be inside, like something, like to be caged or trapped into something. Expert is like a specialist, a person who knows so much about a certain field and about a certain topic and about a certain science, probably. Then we have the word rather. Rather means like instead. And then we have the word cylinder, this noun. It means, a cylinder is like a can, right? This metal can that we have food inside. You could find peas in this can. So it's a geometrical shape, right? That has, from the top and the bottom, there are like circles, and then on the sides it's straight. Creature could be an animal, or, like an animal which we don't know of and it's scary, we fear it. Incentive is like, something that motivates people to do things. It is an incentive, a thing that motivates you. um and network, we already talked about this, and we said it's like a system. Okay, we can talk about streets as a network. We could talk about lakes and oceans, and as networks too. Surface is like the outside of something, and I think we also mentioned this before. So now we want to make use of these words to complete the following sentences. So there are many kinds of animal. The best word would be species, right? Kinds probably in the world, and so on. A table has a smooth what? What does the table have? A smooth, of course, surface is the best word, right? Then we have the next word. I don't need to know the exact time of your arrival. Just give me a rough time. A rough time is like not an exact time, and around time. Okay, like 3:05, 3:10, something like that. You tell somebody, I'll be there at around 3. That means that's the rough time. They keep their dogs where? Enclosed in a large fenced area. Yeah. So like cage, put, behind, this cage or in this cage. I'd like to go to the beach this weekend. What is it? Rather than the mountains. So this person prefers visiting the beach and not the mountains. Sometimes, during weekends, we want to do certain activities that we can't do during the weekdays. And some people, like go the beach. Others might like going to the mountains and hiking, and, just, to enjoy the scenery and the hike itself. Um, then we have 6. Employers sometimes use money. Employers are people who are, owners of businesses, right? And they assign people to do certain tasks in their businesses or in their companies. They sometimes use money as an incentive, like a way to motivate, their employees, to get people to do work harder. Like if you do more work, you'll get more money. Yeah, and then the employee would want to do more work to get more money. At sea level, air pushes against your body with a pressure, of course. So the air pushes against your body with a certain, or pressure of 14.7 pounds per square inch. So that's why, diving and, exploring the ocean was not very inviting. People did not enjoy this kind of pressure, as they were diving. But sometimes, you have to, bear difficulties to gain, other things. All right, now we want to move on to the next page, which is page 45. It doesn't show here much, but still, we're going to still make use of the words that we already discussed. And we have this sentence, which is 8. Let me just enlarge this a bit. So Los Angeles has a huge network of highways. So what could it be? A huge what? And we need a noun here. We're talking about highways, main streets, right? So a network of highways. Number 9, a cylinder. Why did I say a cylinder? Because it has a flat circular top and a bottom, which is also circular, and straight sides, right? Like the can that we put, certain beans inside and corn sometimes, you can buy it from the mall and so on. There was some kind of what living in the old building. Oh my gosh, this is scary. Kind of creature living in the old building. We heard it, but we never saw it. Oh my gosh, this is really scary. Okay, let's move on to the next vocabulary exercise. The same goes with these words. We have to know what they mean. We have to understand what they mean. If you want in Arabic, you look them up. And of course, it's good to know the an equivalent of each, word in English, and then we, read these sentences and try to complete these sentences with one of these words. So a beggar. A beggar is someone who asks for money and food. Here in Jordan, we find them at let me say, in streets sometimes, right? At crossroads. Yeah. Then we have the word delayed. Delayed means like to make you late and, not come on time or something like that. To be late, not on time. A decade is 100 years. Surrounded, to be, to have something like around you, right? Or that's what it means. In order to, it's like a conjunction. It means like in Arabic we say hatta, all right? And it expresses purpose, like the purpose, okay? Organization, we talked about this before, and we said an organization is like a can we say a committee, a group of people that work together to, fulfill a certain goal. And then we have the word temperature. Temperature, it has to do with the weather condition, how, hot and cold, certain things are, or the weather itself is. To break down or broke down here, it's in the past, it means not to work anymore. It doesn't mean to actually break, like, in terms of pieces and bits, but it just means that, it no longer works. It does not work anymore. And it needs, it needs repairing. Details are like, more than the main thing. When we talk about details, we talk about not the main thing, the minor things, here and there issues and items, all right? The civil war, it's like a war that takes place in a country, and it's between the citizens of the country. Can you imagine? But they side with a certain person, different people. They side with certain ideas. Like each group believes in certain ideas, and the other group does not believe in the same ideas, and so on. They could fight over religion. They could fight over a certain person that they want to have as a leader, and so on. Ashore, like on the shore, okay? Yeah, that is what it means. Remind means to make somebody remember or help somebody remember something, right? Yeah, so let's complete these sentences. The soldiers surrounded the building so that no one could escape. So it seems that in a certain building, there were people that did not follow the rules, did not follow the law, and so, the soldiers, surrounded them inside a building in order to capture them. What does the smell of an orange remind you of? For me, it reminds me of the winter, because oranges, grow in winter. But this is like what's good about winter. Oranges are what is good about winter, and I think that's it about winter. I don't like it. The snowstorm, what? Delayed us from 3 hours, sorry, for 3 hours, I'm sorry, because we had to drive very slowly. Yeah, it happened to me before. Once I had to drive in a snowstorm and I was walking on eggshells until I got home, you know. So like it would usually take me like 20 minutes to get home. On that day, it took me like more than an hour to get home because of the snowstorm. Yeah. You know, there was ice on the road. It was slippery, and yeah, I wanted to get home safe. 4, a beggar asks people for money or food. I think this is really clear. That's what a beggar does. OPEC, this is a symbol. These are letters that stand for something. And is the what? It is the organization of petroleum. P stands for petroleum. E stands for exporting. And C for countries, all right? That might be Kuwait and Saudi Arabia and Qatar, you know, those countries. I only know she was in an accident. I don't know any of the details. So at many times you hear that an accident took place, you know, and you don't know like how old the person who got hurt is, who that person is, whether he's alive or not. You know, these are details, we call them, okay? But you know that an accident happened in a certain place and you heard about that. That's like the general thing. There has been a what in Somalia for several years? A civil war. This is the word, all right? So people in Somalia have been, you know, at war. You know, they're from the same country. Unfortunately, people from the north fighting with people from the south, you know, killing each other, you know, just for, you know, just over, I mean, like a certain, you know, person that they want to be leader that represents them. Anyway, different groups of Somalis are fighting among themselves. That's what it really means to be, you know, in a civil war. Sometimes the summer temperature in Antarctica is 0. Remember, I told you about this, that although it's summer in our Antarctica, we have to think of it as still winter, all right? Because it's really cold. You still have to wear a fur coat. You still have to, you know, like consider it winter, let me say, in a way. Okay, so imagine if this is the summer, then what is the temperature when it's not summer? So sentence 9, in order to get good grades. I tell you this, guys, in order to get good grades, you have to do your homework. You have to study, you have to prepare, you have to do all the work necessary in order to get good grades. Don't postpone this. Please do it, you know, when you're free and you have the time. Now is the good time to do it, all right? Let's move on to 10. So what is 10 years? A decade is 10 years. All right, so this is an easy, you know, sentence. All right, now we want to move on to the next exercise. Let me just try to lift this up so that it could be clear and you could see it on the same page. So we have, the title says true, false, not enough information. So we're supposed to read these sentences and decide whether the sentence is true, you know, it goes along with a reading passage that we've discussed, whether it's false, or whether, you know, like the information available in the passage is not enough, so we cannot really, you know, say true or even false. So let's see. The first sentence, let's read the first sentence. Number 1, more than 50% of the earth is underwater. That's really true. Yeah, more than, you know, 50% is underwater. It's, you know, more than, you know, like not just 50, 70% is underwater. Okay, so if we go back to the reading passage, you know, you will find that, all right? So that's something to go back to if you're not sure, if you don't still remember that. Early sailors were afraid to explore below the surface of the ocean. Of course, that was true. Yeah. Early sailors were afraid, and that's what hindered, you know, ocean exploration anyway, from the very beginning, you know, because they thought of the ocean as a lifeless place, you know, and even when they thought of it as a place that has life, they thought of, you know, it containing and having, you know, scary creatures that they didn't want to get to, you know, to like discover or find or encounter. Sentence 3, in most parts of the ocean floor, the water temperature is very hot. Well, the problem with this sentence is the word most. So we did read that, you know, that in parts of the ocean floor, the water temperature is very hot. It could burn, you know, a person. because of earthquakes, you know. But I mean, we did not find the word most. So we can say that not enough information. So we can just, you know, like cross this word out and make this sentence true if we want to, in parts, not most parts though. The first diving suit, the first diving suits, I'm sorry, were uncomfortable. I would say uncomfortable, guys. Do you know why? Because the first diving suit was a cylinder. Can, you know, you have to open up the cylinder, you know, and stand in it, and that's your suit. Can you imagine? Somebody can shake you and you can probably die, you know. So it is really it was really uncomfortable, I would say. So true. The deepest parts of the ocean are lifeless. That we did not, you know, find in the reading passage. It is said that, you know, the deeper you go, the more species you find, you know, the more variety there is, you know. It did not say anything about, you know, the ocean being lifeless the deeper you go. So this sentence I would say is false. Early divers carried their own air with them. Well, guys, the earliest divers did not carry air with them. Remember, they wore these suits that had, you know, this kind of tube that would be above the ocean, and they did not even dive very deep, you know, just a few meters, because, you know, of the, you know, they couldn't have this, you know, tube, you know, which would be that long, you know. It would be really dangerous anyway. So they did not take their air with them. So this sentence is false. Okay, this was only recent. It was only recently when they began to take, you know, aqua lungs with them, and, you know, take their own oxygen with them. So the early submersibles had motors. Of course not. Motors are, guys, come on, are you know, some that have to do with something with modernity. Okay, with, you know, modern inventions and so on. So the early submersibles had motors. No, they did not. They had, you know, something besides motors. They were, I think, you know, like old-fashioned and depended on just, you know, rowing, probably using certain, you know, pedals or something of that kind. So this sentence is wrong, false. Jack Pickard broke Beebe and Barton's deep sea. Yes, he did. Record. He did do that because, you know, he dove like 7 meters into the ocean, unlike them, because they dove like half a mile. But, you know, there was like a 25 years, you know, difference between their, you know, their, let me say, diving. Okay, let's move on to the next exercise. Let's see, which is on page 46. Uh-oh, this is not the page that I want. The title should be Comprehension Questions. Let me try to find that. Okay, amazing. This is the page that I'm looking for. Okay, and it says 46 over here, see? So let's enlarge the page so that it will be easier for us to see the questions. Okay, and let me just bring this down like this. Amazing. All right, so these questions are based, we have to like base them on the passage. The answers to these questions have to be based on the passage. Why do you think we know more about the moon than about the Earth's oceans? Well, it is said, the guys, that you know, the information about the oceans, you know, from the very beginning of time was like not that inviting. Okay, people thought of the oceans, or of oceans in general, as, you know, travel networks. They thought of them as like, I mean, like the inside of them as, you know, having sea creatures which were, you know, not, which were disturbing, which could kill, which could, you know, strangle you. And why would we want to go there, you know? So this is a reason. Another thing is that people are curious more about what's, you know, far than what's close. Sometimes we ignore what we have, you know. The ocean is like, we have the ocean. We could go explore it whenever we want. We don't want to right now, but the moon is like, you know, far away and, you know, attractive, you know, you know, we see this light, you know, and we feel very curious. Yeah. So this is, I think this is something that has to do with psychology, I would say, that human beings tend to, you know, be curious about things which are farther away from them than things which are, you know, closer away. So this is like you know, you can really say this is a reading comprehension question. Okay. Another thing is that, let's move on. I mean, I'm sorry, to sentence 2. What hampered ocean exploration for centuries? You know, it is said in the passage that ocean exploration was hampered for centuries. Now, I just mentioned the reason right now, and we can add some more. So one of the reasons is that, like I said, people thought that it was a dark place which was lifeless. It had, and even if it had creatures, they were scary ones, frightening ones that could, crush you, destroy you, eat you up. So why would we want to discover those and get to know them better? Another thing is that people just, decided that that oceans were like a travel network. Another thing is that, we can't breathe, in the ocean. We're not like the sea creatures that are in the ocean. We breathe air, oxygen in the air, and sea creatures breathe, oxygen melted in the water. This is another thing. And then the pressure of the water itself, could destroy a human body. So lots of things. And then the vents, the hot areas, and I don't know if they knew about that at that time, like, but still, it's not an inviting place. And all of those reasons have to do with why, ocean exploration was hampered. Let's move on to 3. What is an ocean vent? I think we spoke about that, and it's an opening at the, in the ground, or the floor of the ocean, and it, enables hot water to come out of it, or enables hot water, to come out of it. Yeah, I'm sorry. And it's like the temperatures are like very high, like above 200 Fahrenheit. So if you go back to the passage, you'll find that. What was important about the 1872 scientific trip around the world? Oh yeah, remember we talked about a scientific trip in 1872. There was a scientific trip that took place in that year, and it was an organized one. The group of sailors and people that worked together, or scientists, let me say, decided that they would be working for 4 years exploring the oceans. What they did was that they prepared a ship for that purpose. It had 2 labs. It had navigation equipment, let me say, the most modern of the time. And you know what? They discovered new things. What they did was that they tested the temperature of the water in different areas. They tested the water density in different areas. And you know what? Their expedition, came up with information about the ocean, related to the currents of the ocean, meteorology. They found 4,000 species. Can you imagine, guys? And they even found an underwater mountain, or a mountain range even. And guess what? All this encouraged others to do what they did, and even more. All right? So this is their accomplishment. This is all about their accomplishment. How did Charles Beebe and Otis Barton contribute to ocean exploration? Oh yeah, they were the first to descend half a mile, to do this half-mile dive, So that's how they contributed. Another thing is that when you contribute, even if it's like, something small, you encourage others, you broke the ice for people, and they feel that they are free to follow your steps, and they might do more than what you did, which is really amazing and great. How far was Jack Pickard able to descend into the ocean? Yeah, he was able to descend further than, or farther than Beebe and Barton. And so he descended like 7 miles instead of half a mile. What have we learned from ocean exploration? We learned a lot, guys, about the oceans, that, I would say don't judge the book by any book by its cover. So people, judge the oceans before they actually, explored them. And they've found that what they believed about them before they actually explored them, was not correct 100%. Yes, it's true that, yes, it does have creatures which are scary, but then there are creatures that we could make use of in different ways, as food, as medicine, etc. Right? How are the oceans important to humans? This is like, you could mention the point that we mentioned earlier about they're important because they are, let me say, and for us they're a network which we use as a method of navigation, so we can move from one country to another, by using these oceans. Another thing is that they provide people with food, right? And basically, I think um, we could make use even of the salty water, probably, and you think about other ways, in which, oceans are considered important to us. Okay, let's move on to the next question, which is the main idea. So what is the main idea of paragraph 3, lines 15 to 19? Guys, I'm going to read that paragraph, so listen to it. 15 to 19, you can go back to it in your book. I'm not going to do that right now, but I'm going to read it for you. So 15 to 19, listen. To early sailors, the ocean was also a frightening place, full of dangerous creatures. They thought that, I'm sorry, I'm turning the page right now, that's why. And it's not working. It's, working against me. Okay. Deep below, the ocean was a dark and lifeless place. Believing this, people had little incentive to explore the ocean depths. Okay, so I would say the answer to this question is it early sailors didn't have a good reason to explore the oceans? Early sailors were afraid of the oceans. No one knew what was in the ocean. I would say it's B. Early sailors were afraid of the oceans. Let's move on to G, scanning, which is going to be the last question that we're going to discuss in this video. And then I'll make another video to finish, the other exercises. So listen to what is said over here. When you want to find just one detail in a text, it is not necessary to read carefully. You scan it. So scanning is the opposite of reading carefully, like quickly read or, whatever you go across, That is, you look as quickly as possible. This is what scanning means, until you find the information. So find these answers by scanning. So learn how to scan, guys. I know you do this already, but we just want to practice it here. So write your answers, not complete sentences. Write the number of the line where you found each answer, because we're doing like a quick exercise, so it's okay if you don't write in complete sentences over here, although I prefer complete sentences. Okay, what is the temperature at vents in the ocean floor? So if you go back to the text, it says that I did that on my own, by the way, before I actually did these exercises now, or recorded these exercises. So when I went back, it said that the temperature is 254 Fahrenheit. Okay, so go back to the text, guys. What did scientists discover in 1872? When they went on that expedition, they discovered, look, 4,000 species. They also discovered, what? Underwater mountain ranges, or an underwater mountain range. Let me be specific. Sentence 3 or question 3, how much did Beebe's submersible weigh? I went back for it because I did not memorize, guys, how much it weighed. So it weighed 5,000 pounds. What was the treist? The treist, is the name given to the submersible that Picard designed, guys. How deep did Jack Picard dive? I think we answered this question, and this is like the third or fourth or fifth time that we're going to answer this question. He dove 7 miles, him and 2 men with, along with him. He wasn't on his own. Who is Sylvia Earle? This is the woman that we mentioned at the end of the reading passage, and it is said that she is a leading expert on oceans, and she encourages, explorers to explore not only the ocean, but whatever, places on Earth that have not been, really explored well. And all the best for today. I'm going to record another lesson for you, finishing up the other exercise. You guys have a great day, and I'll meet with you very soon. Goodbye.